of updates, but I actually ended up seeing stuff about the scientists that have gone missing, which is actually a bigger part of this discussion. So we've got a lot to get to. I'm going to talk about how to spot a clone, the process of cloning, the cloning facilities where they're at right now. And then I even saw, like, from a clone's perspective, do they know that they're a clone, or not, So I kind of saw the other end of it, which was really fascinating today. And then we're going to talk about the next couple of years and what that's going to look like. So I guess today's conversation is more so about the broader scheme of the shadow government, what their big plans are, why they're replacing everyone with clones, why that's a big deal, and what we're going to see, and we're already seeing it. So it's a lot to uncover, but let's just dive right into it. Please, guys, if you are new to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button or check out some of my other social medias. You'll get very small clips of the bigger, longer form content. So I am really grateful that you guys spend 20, 30 minutes with me every week watching the longer form content, because I find that the clips are like junk food. That's great. Thanks for staying around for 2 minutes, but it's not everything. So I really do appreciate the ones who watch the longer stuff. Okay, so let's just talk about how to spot a clone. Now, first of all, it's typically always someone of influence. You're not going to have your average like neighbor or, I don't know, like coworker be a clone, okay? It just doesn't happen, because cloning is a very scientific thing. This is not a spiritual thing. This is very like mathematical, and it takes a lot of money to create a clone. And now that the technology is increasing and cloning is getting easier and less expensive, they're doing it a lot more, and they're doing it a lot more for other reasons too. So once again, we're going to talk about that today. Now, how to spot a clone. So typically someone of influence, usually there will be like time away from the spotlight, okay? So that could be like a wellness facility, or it could be rehab, or it could be whatever. Obviously, if it's not time away from the spotlight, then maybe it's a health crisis or something like that. But essentially, they're not really in the public eye for I would say like 6 to 8 months. Okay, so then they have a tendency to come back into the spotlight in a really big way. Maybe it's like this brand new movie premiere. Maybe it's like this crazy radical idea that they're posting about. But they usually come into the spotlight in a big way, or accepting an award, for example, like Jim Carrey. That's usually a test to see how the cloning, if they got away with this person being a clone. They will obviously have a sudden change of appearance. Typically, we see that the clones have a lot of plastic surgery. Funny enough, like, clones don't come out looking like that, but they typically give them a lot of plastic surgery to cover up the potential differences that there could be, like a missing tattoo or something, with sort of this plastic surgery distraction. That's really what it is. Oh, they're different. It must be the weird plastic surgery, right? So sudden change of appearance is the most obvious sign, right? And then also a sudden change of beliefs. Now, maybe this doesn't happen right away. Maybe it happens in time, but I have seen a lot of people be replaced and then come out with some really wild, like anti, you're against like certain religions, or you're really for certain religions, like a really big change in belief. And then also, clones could potentially glitch out as well. Now, back in the day, sort of MK Ultra programming and the clone program would glitch people out. And the glitches looked like it could be stutters, it could be freezing, like randomly, I don't know, in the middle of a live interview, obviously. We only see the glitches in real time in live interviews, because most of the time that stuff is buried. Eye twitches when like one eye opens and closes weird. Or sometimes they just totally like blank out. Like there's just nothing there, nothing going on. That was much more common even like 10, 20 years ago. Nowadays, they've worked out a lot of the kinks. So let's talk a little bit about the process or the process, Canadian American, the process of cloning. So here's what I've seen, and this is all that I know is what I've seen in these underground cloning facilities, and then I'll talk about what I literally just saw today with where we're at with cloning and what they're planning next, because it's pretty wild. So they will essentially clone, right, your human body. They have to get your DNA somehow, but that's all usually written in like these Illuminati contracts, these shadow government contracts. We'll give you fame and fortune, and you give us your body, your likeness, your everything. So that also includes now moving into the AI sector. Like they've already signed over rights to their name and their likeness for fame and riches and fortune and power and control or whatever it is that they really wanted. So now it's like they're signing over rights to their likeness with AI, and that's going to be a huge sort of deep fake type of thing that we're going to see more and more of. And then also signing over your likeness in relation to cloning, right? Now, initially it was sort of like, hey, you're giving us rights to your body. We're going to take over your body through a traditional possession. Now with technology advancement, we've got things like AI and cloning to completely take over someone's likeness and body and personality and everything in like the biggest way possible, right? So they will basically grow a body, a clone body. And sometimes they grow a couple of clone bodies. Like it could be 2 or 3. It depends on the person's influence, essentially. And then they will transfer. Okay, this is where it gets weird. Essentially, I saw this like clone body in a chair in this facility, and they have these, it looks like these tubes, and inside the tubes are souls or consciousness. Oddly enough, those souls signed up to do that as well, which is weird to me, but it is what it is, I guess. And so then they take those canisters, is what it looks like, they put it into a machine, and they transfer the consciousness into the clone body. And then, this is like the longest, other than growing the body, it's programming the new consciousness and the physical body together to act and mimic and have the same mannerisms and the same actions and the same accents and the same even memories as that individual, which is fascinating. And one of the things is like, it does look like MK Ultra, like almost like a newer version of MK Ultra. Like it's almost like a VR experience, and they're sitting in this chair that looks like a dentist chair, and they're hooked up to these machines, and they are forced to watch. It could be videos, it could be whatever, the experience. And I'm sure that they have, even now thinking about it, you know, AI videos or whatever of that person. I don't know. I don't know how they do it, but essentially they force sort of this programming, and then there's like little electroshock, kind of like electroshock therapy. And I'm not sure if this like sort of activates the neural pathways of their brain, and like almost like a torture mechanism to, once again, MK Ultra programming, to enmesh the identity of the person that's being taken over. What I've seen is this is about a 6 to 8 month process of programming them. So it takes quite a while. And they're growing the clone body, and I don't know how long it takes to grow a clone body. It could be maybe a couple of years, but they're growing that clone body for quite some time. And it costs, I mean, I don't know how much, but tens of millions, hundreds of millions, I'm not sure, per body. So that's what I've seen as far as like, how does it function? Then today, I also saw the other side. The flip side is, how does a clone know it's a clone? That's a question that I have not looked into yet. And I got an answer. The majority of the time, like maybe 80, 90% of the time, a clone has no idea it's a clone, which is kind of wild. There are certain things that could like wake that clone up. It would be the repressed memories of the cloning facility. That's what it would be, right? That would all of a sudden come out, and they would be like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I'm a real human, right? Which would be kind of like an existential crisis, you would think. So for the majority of the time, they go to this retreat, this wellness retreat, or maybe a rehab. They come back, they're slightly different, I guess, right, to other people, but they think that they're just continuing to live their life. Maybe they forget the name of a neighbor down the street that wasn't programmed, and then they learn that, and that's kind of weird. And there's like, oh, there's these kind of weird memory glitches that I'm having. But other than that, they kind of carry on that person's life as if they are that person, which once again, sounds like a horror movie. Like it's a little freaky, right? Just my personal opinion. So that was fascinating. I've never looked at that side of things. What else? So, okay, looking to replace, yes. Hold on, I'm just reading my notes. Releasing a clone, awareness of themselves. Okay, great. So let's talk about global updates. All right. So now I kind of got away from the the old information and into the updated information. So I wanted to take a look at this massive cloning facility that I went to back in 2010 or 2011 when I first started remote viewing, and I stumbled across this facility looking for underground military bases. Back then, the cloning facility was practically empty. I saw a couple of workers. I saw quite a few of these sort of giant machines and like test tubes, to the point where I kind of recognized where I was and it freaked me out. And back then I was like, there is no way I'm ever telling anyone what I found. Like they will take me out. Nowadays I feel safe-ish, but I do want to talk about what they're doing with these scientists and these other experts, because that came up. Okay, so I went back to this facility and it is like packed to the brim with technology, and it is packed to the brim with people, with workers. Most of the workers were in these like white lab coats, and they're all busy, they're doing things, it looked like the facility had expanded exponentially. And I don't know why, but like it was my first thought. I think it's like a very human thought of there are so many people, real people. Well, never really even thought about that, but there are so many people here working for this facility. You would think that they're going to blow a whistle, right? Like you would think that, now that I thought of it, like literally this just came to my mind. This is such a weird thought, but it's something I can validate later. What if, just gonna put this out there because this is crazy, but what if there was a celebrity, okay, or an A-lister that they had a bunch of clones of, say 3 clone renditions, and that celebrity got into a freak accident or ended up passing away very suddenly, very publicly, and they were not able to use the clone bodies of that celebrity? Wouldn't it make sense that they would use those clone bodies to work the facility? Literally the thought just crossed my mind. That is wild. I guess it would make sense because it's just like a wasted resource. Because my first thought is, who are these people who work for this facility, and like what is their main day job, and like do they go home to families, and are they going to blow the whistle, or have they been MK Ultra programmed? Like that's kind of where my mind goes, is like when you have a facility that is so packed with workers and you're trying to keep it top secret, I just always wonder, like, wouldn't you say something? I don't know. I think the same thing about the chemtrails. It's like there's so many pilots that are pressing a button in their plane and being like, open the floodgates, you know? And then I'm sure that they're just told like, hey, this is, what is the rhetoric on chemtrails? It's something about, oh, the atmosphere. They're like protecting the atmosphere, right? Anyway, I don't know. It just weirds me out and blows my mind at the same time, but it's something that I'm gonna have to explore later. All right, let's get back to global updates. So facilities, these cloning facilities seem to be increasing their output all around the world. Like it literally seems like they're ramping up their cloning. Okay, what else did I write down here? I just see things and write them down. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this was fascinating. Assessing candidates with risk factor and influence factor. So there's like a whole separate section, and it's like out of the warehouse, and there's like a team of people who assess who would be a good candidate for a potential clone, right? Like you have to sign your contracts, you have to be in the Illuminati or one of those shadowy sort of organizations. What is your risk factor in, are you complying with the terms? Are you doing the rituals? Are you coming to the meetings? Are you saying yes to everything we tell you to say yes to? What's the risk factor? And it feels like there's actually a number that they associate to certain people who are in these organizations as far as what their risk factor is. Fascinating. And then also, what's their influence factor? So they could have like a high risk factor of, hey, this person hasn't been showing up to meetings, they haven't been complying with the terms or whatever. Their risk factor is like 82, and then their influence factor could be like 65, right? What's their network or what's their influence? And if both of those numbers are high, they are really, really like good candidates, I guess, to be changed into a clone, which is just crazy and just, I don't know what to think of it. It's crazy. So the shadow government is looking to replace a large portion of these A-listers all around the world, not just here in the USA. And they're scared. They're doing this because they're scared, because they're losing influence. The shadow government is having a hard time finding new recruits. No one wants to join them anymore. And there's also nothing that they can really offer people. Like, I don't know, the frequency has changed, right? It's like no amount of money, power, control, whatever in the world you could give me to be happy. So it's like, the answer is no, you know? I just think that frequency is changing, right? They can't find new recruits to their organization, or at least they're having a hard time finding them. And then the ones that they do have that have signed contracts in their organization are defecting. They're basically saying, yeah, I mean, I don't really want to be a part of the whole Epstein, you know, the Diddy drama. Like, I don't, you know, it's like, for them, it's getting scary. Like, they can see that the power of that organization is falling because information is getting leaked, right? It's like, no, you'll always be safe. Like, that was the vibe. You'll always be safe. We'll always protect you. They couldn't protect the people in the Epstein list anymore. So fascinating, right? Okay, so then taking a look at the bigger picture of the shadow government and what's happening, it is so clear that they are taking out anyone, and this is how I put it, anyone as a threat to the big corporations, right? So we're talking like big pharma, big energy, big agriculture. I don't know why fertility came up here. I'm not sure. I didn't look into it more. And then also like weird like space and time travel. But anyone who is presenting or who has created solutions to these big problems that would override, overstep, or usurp, or threaten these big institutions are literally being taken out. And this is where the scientists came in. I don't know how many scientists we have right now that have essentially gone missing or suspicious circumstances, but it's not just scientists. And I think it's good that people are looking at that and questioning it and being like, wow, that's weird. But if you looked at every other sector, if you looked at the cancer and disease sector, who's creating the solutions, who's curing cancer right now, right? Those people are going missing. Those people are stepping back. Those people are having a health crisis or what have you. Those people are being taken out, okay? This is happening everywhere. So there's essentially a twofold agenda taking place. One is to control the members that they have right now, and two is to essentially decrease the threat to their plans by taking out anyone who is deemed a threat, either by creating new solutions or by calling out the old system. So, and to be honest, guys, this is not going away. Like, this is not stopping anytime soon. It seems like the biggest push is the next 2 years. up until 2028. It's like they are going to try everything possible. So one thing that came through as well is, and this is fascinating, I'm just going to plant a seed for you guys so that you can be aware of the manipulation from the outside and not get sucked into it, okay? In this sort of meeting that the shadow government had, okay, that I was observing, and they were talking about the threats to their system, okay? They said they were debating as to whether they wanted to have everyone go against one thing. How did I write it? I probably wrote it much better than that. Oh yeah, control between filtering everyone into one direction or just keep dividing them in many ways. Like, essentially they were talking about what is the easier thing to do? What is the better thing to do when it comes down to controlling the masses and their programming and their belief? Do we continue to divide and conquer? That's what they've been doing, right? They've been continuing to divide and conquer. Or do we bring them all together under one threat and control them that way, okay? And when I was curious about what would the one threat be, right? Back in 2020, it was COVID, right? That was the big threat, this unseen thing that they really, hyped up or whatever. Moving forward, it could be aliens, It could be a country. It could be a religion. That's like, that is the threat. That is the thing. That is the person. That is the whatever, right? So it's just fascinating that they were talking about that. I also want to mention that psychic attacks at this time, at a non-physical level, are also really kicking up. It's like the light is shining, and it is shining into all of the little cracks and crevices and doorways and dark, seedy places in this reality. And everything and everyone is coming out of the woodwork to try and dim that light. All right, guys, just be aware of that. And then I do want to mention that how much you feed this stuff is when they or it, whether it's the shadow government or just like an entity that's hanging around, when you react to it, you feed it in a way that tells it whatever they're doing is working. So try not to feed it, okay? Be aware of the information and then let it go and neutralize it. Because this information, by knowing it, is helping you to neutralize your reaction around it, but it's not necessarily increasing your vibration, right? So try not to feed it any more than just a couple of thoughts, I guess. Okay, guys, that... one more thing, because I just missed this line. Essentially, right now, anyone who is believed to be a part of the white hats, right, the good guys, the good government forces are being targeted and taken out. And for me, I mean, that obviously calls into question what I'm doing. I don't think I'm as big of a threat as a lot of these scientists who are publishing papers or people who are curing diseases. I'm not threatening big pharma. You know what I mean? But that being said, I do have to be sort of a little bit more vigilant and careful, and sometimes I push the boundaries when I shouldn't. But that's just, it is what it is. Guys, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Mental health is a big, big issue these days. If you are struggling, especially with your own mind and things like anxiety, please go check out my book, Your Anxiety is Giving Me Anxiety. All right, it is 11% off right now for the month of May. And that's just for Mental Health Awareness Month. So please check that out because I do believe it's going to help a lot of people, and it already is helping a lot of people. I have therapists and psychologists who are all giving this book away to their clients, which is just such a sweet sentiment. All right, guys. Keep up the good work. Observe everything without reaction. Take it in neutrally. Do what you want with it, right? Take it or leave it. But at the end of the day, live your best life. Know that you are so, so powerful. And whatever you focus on Whatever you have emotions around is what you're feeding, all right? So be aware of that and know that you deserve to live your best possible life. I love you guys so, so much. Keep up the good work. Bye for now.